Howdy, howdy, everybody. This is your boy TK. Welcome to Raw Lot Media. I'm so excited to have you guys here today because we are going to be talking about one of my more favorite Absolute comics. This is Absolute Wonder Woman. This is created by Detective Comics or DC. There are 19 issues right now, and it is currently ongoing and has a very good price point, so you can easily pick it up for yourself, especially if you are getting into this universe. If you want any more information about how this universe was created and the start to it, you can always go and pick up All In Special Number 1. One day I'll pick it up myself. This way I can actually introduce it to you guys. But yeah, I just want to go over that a little bit with you. Just for any of you who don't know what this universe is, this is set in the Absolute Universe, where Darkseid has created his own version of the heroes and villains that we know of, but in a twisted way. Um, Everything is darker, grittier, and, has that twist where being a hero is actually something that the universe fights against. It's easier to be a villain, it's easier to do these evil atrocities and to get away with it than it is to be a hero. To be a hero is to be a curse. And for anybody that's the most cursed besides one particular bat-like character, we're going to be talking about Diana herself. Just to give you a little bit of information about Diana, she is the last Amazon among her people. Either they have been imprisoned, they have been killed off, or they have utterly just disappeared in general. She was given away to Circe, the witch of Hell's Isle, and she was stripped of all of her culture, everything that is involved with the Amazons. That is Diana's personality. She is from Themyscira, and to have this ripped away from her, especially as a baby, we're introduced to her. Spoilers ahead, I do want to talk about the comic a little bit. You're introduced to when she's given to Circe and having to live in literal hell. And this Diana, I really liked this version because I think it does her the most justice. Because I never understood the other iterations of her where she had like the red, white, and blue, the star spangled, like she looked like she was just from America, not Themyscira. As I've learned, she's actually wearing those symbols because of her diplomatic status, which now that I think about it makes a little bit more sense. But I like this iteration so much more because it really hones in on that Greek mythology and everything that encompasses it. And so, like, even the word Amazon or Amazonius is scuffed away. Circe is not allowed to tell Diana her history. And that's so important to the thematics of the character herself. And I think everything about this character, you get to see her, this tall, imposing, and magical version of Diana. She doesn't have the lasso of justice. She has this almost lasso of, like, not revenge, but like retribution. Like, you will pay, you will atone for the damnation that you have occurred. And it's just such a nice version of Diana herself. I'm really happy that they went for this more, grittier, more hell themed character for her. And it's just so good in that aspect. And that's why this is my favorite version of Wonder Woman. And if you're really into this character, you should give the Absolute comic a try. And so, yeah, she has been placed in the Hell's Isle with with her mother Circe, where she has to spend time as a kid growing up. A lot of people don't expect her to live, including Circe herself. But over time, you get to see this natural bond that they form together. And if we get into like the thematics of the comic, you get this sister slash motherhood that a lot of comics kind of struggle to do, where they just show characters like, yeah, I love my mom, yeah, I love my sister. But this one does really well because it shows Circe growing up with Diana, watching her over time, and you get to just see the bond that they form together. And I really like this aspect of it. And if I can just go on ahead and show you a couple pages from it. um, some of my favorite things is, as they are living in this hellscape, you get beautiful panels where you get to see Diana struggling to walk. She's slowly being taken care of by Cersei, seeing her explore, grow. You watch this desolate cave slowly become a sanctuary for Diana to grow up in. And you get to see Cersei actually, for somebody who was abandoned by the gods, you get to see that her greatest wrath in return is to grow up the person who will be eventually their downfall. And I think that's just so good. I think that's just such a good use of a character. And you get to just see these interactions because Cersei teaches Diana all of her magics. And it's just such a sight to see, especially when you get to see Diana tap into that inner potential that she has. And I think it's just, a real good and solid thing. As well as when it does come to this comic. Each one of the Absolute comics has like its own way of doing art styles, or it does its paneling. I think this comic does the best when it comes to paneling. There might be one more that contends with it, but it's in a league of its own. I'll have to get back. I'll have to get to that one in a while. But this comic does so well with using different paneling that explains the story and just gives you a natural flow. Like, you have those full extended scenes from page to page, and then you have other scenes that'll look like a kaleidoscope, but it all is just flowing in such a good natural state that it makes it a lot of fun to read, Absolute Wonder Woman in its entirety. And I think it's a pretty good story. I won't lie, for myself, it is a little bit of a slower story. And I think that's okay. Because Diana, you need to build up her character. You need to build up her background. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it does take a couple of issues. I would say probably till issue, I feel like it's 3 onwards, where you really get to watch Diana, spread her wings and fly. Speaking of flying, she does have a fucking undead, Pegasus and everything. Nothing's cooler than that, in my opinion. But currently, out of 6 of the 6 Absolute comics that are out right now, I will have to put this one at number 5. 1 being best, 6 being the worst. There's nothing wrong with this comic. I still think this is the best version of Diana, and everybody should read this comic because it has a lot of issues and it's doing really well. And like I said, I think once you get past the initial 3 comics, the first 3 issues, it's superb. It's so good. You get to see all these nice and wonderful characters. You get to see cameos, and you get to see her interact with people. Don't want to give too many spoilers, but if you made it this far, you already know it. Like, you have the Suicide Squad, mentioned. You get to see Zatanna and a whole bunch of other characters that Diana normally would fight in her other iterations. And I think it's so good. And everything in the art style is also really nice. I think it's clean. I think he gets the job done. And you really fall in love with this character. And I think that's a really good thing. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else when it comes to this comic. Theming's good. I think it's an absolute blast to read. I think the hell magic is still my favorite thing about Diana, besides actually watching her grow as a character. And even as you get to learn more about her, you do realize, like, oh yeah, like, when she was created in a particular way because she's not a normal human or a normal Amazon. Like, she was shaped from clay. And that lore actually matters to her character in this universe. And, I can keep yapping on about it and keep telling you everything about this comic where you really should just go out there and go pick it up yourself. Hopefully I gave a good enough introduction, got you into the universe, maybe into the character itself. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I can't wait to see if any of you guys pick it up. All right, have a good day. Bye.